Hello, and welcome to We Live for Saturday, your favorite college football podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike, and with me, as always, is your other co-host, John. John, how are you doing on this cold day?
It's pretty good, At this point, it's been cold so many days in a row. I'm just like, it's not really affecting me. Like today, it got above zero, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. It's
Yeah,
not that bad.
downright balmy.
Yeah, the sun was out. It was
hmm
4.
It's not better in the sun when it's that cold. The sun is, yeah.
I mean, all right, fine. Yeah,
We tell ourselves it is. We tell ourselves it is. Is it colder without the sun? Sure. But is it
Yes.
warmer with the sun? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't too windy today, so that wasn't terrible. But yeah, I mean, it was 4 degrees. That is, if it at least according to my phone app.
And that
But
was an increase. We were below
yeah,
zero yesterday. I think it
yep,
was 25 below wind chill yesterday.
yes, I think so. Yeah, like
Yeah.
25 to 30. I think it was like 30 at like 5 in the morning or something like that. And it just,
Yeah.
yeah, it was rough
Intense.
yesterday. You could feel it.
Oh man, I didn't want to go anywhere.
No,
I had like a
it's
meeting out in the burbs, and I didn't like the first half of going out there in my car. I was just so cold. It was just, your eyes are all wide because you're cold.
Yep.
And you're just like, and then finally your seat warms up, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and
I'm
by
all
the
right.
time it gets warm, you have to.
But you're there. Then you're there. Then you're there. You're going.
Yep.
And then you leave your car for an hour or two, and then you come back,
Do it
and then
all
it's
over
just do the whole thing over again. Yeah. I remember there was a time in 2018 when it was so cold. It was like 20 below, and it was like 50, 60 below wind chill. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
But there was a time and I was holding the steering wheel, and I had gloves on, and I knew I had gloves on. But I swear to God, it felt like my skin was directly against the steering wheel and freezing, like just freezing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't square that with my head. I was like, wow, sometimes your senses are wrong.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I could feel that steering wheel, but I could see that there was the glove in between, and it's just so cold that it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, but then it's gonna jump up to like 45 degrees. Like
I know, I'm not ready for spring, man.
No.
I'm just gonna be real. I hate spring. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's wet. It's muddy. It smells bad. It is disgusting. I hate spring. I hate it. Love summer. Love fall. I even like winter a lot, but I hate spring.
Yeah.
And we are going head first into spring. There's no gradual coming out of winter. Winter ends Sunday this week. It's over.
And that's what I hate. It's the like, let me ease into it, man.
Right? I'm in the middle of my
bothers me.
sweater season.
Yes.
In the middle of my sweater wearing. You're telling me you're going to warm it up all of a sudden? I'm not ready for that.
No, and the thing is it'll be like false spring, and then like we'll get like a random 2 days of like super cold again, and then back to warm. It's just gonna that's the thing that kills
the
me.
random March blizzard where it all melts right away, but for like 2 or 3 days it's really sketchy.
Yep.
And the snow's extra heavy because it's really wet.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it does real damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm not a fan of spring. I never have been. And
No.
I'm not looking forward to like 2 months of just brown and gray and wet.
Yeah.
Until things start to finally like turn green and bloom. So yeah.
Yep.
So here we go. But yeah, man. But we got a lot to talk about here today, man. Like there's tons to cover.
We got a lot to talk about, and I think you're going to introduce. We've got another Ross Dellinger dropped another bomb, another college football playoff information bomb. So you want to introduce that one?
Yes. Well, before I do that, I just want to go over again. If you want to find us on We Live for Saturday, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podcast Addict. If you want to find us on Twitter, you can find us at We Live for B1GSat. You can find Mike here at Alibaba26, and you can find me, John, at Norwegian Gopher. You can also email us, We Live for Saturday, b1g@gmail.com. So now to the article. This is another Ross Dellinger. It's kind of just an additional article to what he already posted about what they're planning on changing for the college football playoff format. But there was a meeting today between the leagues here, and essentially what we've learned, or at least the new information, is that the two leagues, being the SEC and the Big Ten, will push playoff executives to alter the seeding of the upcoming postseason, aligning the seeds based directly on the selection committee's rankings. Such a move would eliminate the rule that grants first-round buys and the top 4 seeds to the 4 highest-ranked conference champions. And Ross Dellinger goes on to say they'll have a fight on their hands to make that change. So, and he goes out to spell out why it's going to be a fight, because the Big 12 and the ACC are probably not on board. Brett Yormark has made it very apparent that it's not. Jim Phillips has been a little bit more diplomatic on it, but essentially was not in favor. And also I think it was Boise State's AD as well voiced her opinion on that regarding the G5 conferences, which again, it makes sense. I understand why they wouldn't be in favor of that.
They already negotiated this for 2025, so they're trying to change a plan they already negotiated.
Yes,
and they need, because they've already negotiated, they need a unanimous vote to change to go to a straight seeding system. Yeah. So basically, Arizona State and Boise State wouldn't have gotten buys.
Nope.
Like, that's what we're talking about. That's different.
Yeah, like if it would have happened this past year, Ross Dellinger pointed out, he said the top 4 seeds would have been number 1 Oregon, number 2 Georgia, number 3 Texas, and number 4 Penn State. Arizona State, the 4th seed, would have been in the current format as Big 12 champions, would have been seeded 12th. Boise State, the 3 seed this year, would have been seeded 9. So the 8-9 game would have featured Boise State and Indiana instead of Ohio State and Tennessee, for instance. So, which is would have been a great game, but obviously
it would have been really fun. Yeah,
Tennessee Ohio State was also a fantastic game. So I get it, and we're gonna see what happens. I think, we talked about this prior to a little meeting before we started recording. That my opinion is that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be able to bully and strong arm their way into whatever they want. I think inevitably. I'm not saying that the Big 12 or the ACC won't be pushing back and don't have some ability to do so. I think especially the Big 12, but I think the ACC is on such shaky ground. Their foundation is crumbling still underneath them, with North Carolina threatening to leave, or making it very apparent anyways that they want to leave, along with FSU, Miami, what have you, all that stuff that's going on there, which I think is still inevitably going to happen. So the ACC, I just feel like, doesn't have a leg to stand on. But Brett Yormark, he's going to be formidable. And I don't know at this point, and they haven't settled on anything either.
I think him to give up guaranteed money from a buy.
Yeah. So there's going to have to be some negotiation. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Why would he do that?
We don't know yet. I mean, there's going to be further discussion, which they talked about on here. And Jim Phillips mentioned that about how this all needs to be reviewed and what have you, and it will be. I know this is just kind of the first steps into it, but it's happening, man. And also what was discussed is the SEC going to 9 conference games, and a Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement is seemingly very likely. At least that's kind of how it sounded in this article, according to Ross Dellinger.
I mean, I just can't believe that the schools are going to agree to a Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement. I just don't believe that they're going to be able to get them on board, because all these schools are playing to get bowl eligible. So if you have 9 conference games and then you have a 10th game against a power conference, SEC or Big Ten opponent, so an extremely well-funded, well-resourced opponent, then you are playing 10 brutal games out of 12 every year.
Yep.
And the Big Ten's used to that. Big Ten's used to it. But it's different when you're picking your own out-of-conference games than having the commissioner of the league say, hey, you're going to go to South Carolina, or you're going to go to Ole Miss, or you're going to go to Alabama, or you're going to go to Georgia, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think too many, these people aren't thinking in terms of these the SEC schools already, by going to 9 conference games, which I'm amazed that we're at a point where they will even do that. That's going to get coaches fired right away.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of coaches depending on those 4 cupcakes to get them bowl eligible to 6 who aren't going to have that anymore. So the SEC, I think, is going to see coaches get fired right away. I think they're going to see a lot of turnover caused by that if they go to 9 conference games. They should go to 9 conference games because that's only fair.
Absolutely, they should. Yeah.
But I do not like the idea of a Big Ten SEC. So what are they going to do? They're going to take the rankings from the year before and then send you out. And how are they going to, and it's going to be hard to determine home and away and get that to balance out over years and doing that up. I don't know, man. There's 4 more teams in the Big Ten than there are in the SEC.
Yeah.
So there's that too. Plus these schools already have out of conference games scheduled 10 years in advance.
Well,
so I don't know. If anything is going to get nixed from the plan, I think that's going to get nixed from the plan because I think all these athletic directors and I think the coaches are going to go to these athletic directors and be like, I don't need another game against a comparable SEC or Big Ten opponent. I don't need or want that when we already have to get through our conference gauntlet and whatever other tough games we've already scheduled. Like, I don't know, man.
I hear you, and I that very well could be true. I'm going in with the mindset of the fact that the SEC and possibly even the Big Ten are still they're looking ahead as if expansion, a conference expansion has happened, like with the acquirement, the SEC acquiring, let's say, Clemson, North Carolina, NC State, which because those are going to be a pair that have to go together. And the Big Ten doesn't want NC State. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And then the Big Ten maybe going to, grabbing a couple here or there, or whatever, whoever that might be. But so having an equal number of conference opponents and obviously having the SEC having to match the Big Ten in 9 conference games. I'm thinking because these guys are inevitably, I think they're looking so far ahead. They're not looking at just next year. They're looking at like probably 10 years down the line and what I think is inevitable and what they see is inevitable because, well, they're the ones, calling the shots and making it happen. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Do I want this? No. Do I think it's probably going to happen? Yeah.
So we just don't get to pick our out of conference games anymore. We don't get to negotiate and do that. That's just something the conference does now. Well, I mean, are you kidding me? That makes me really upset. That makes me really upset.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think, you get to pick what, two out of conference games?
Yeah, but just the body bag games. You don't get to pick you don't get to pick the teams that you want to match up against that you think it'll be fun to I don't know, man. That frustrates me. If that's really going to come to pass, I don't like that because that's 10 really tough games.
It is
every year.
Yeah.
Every single year. So I don't love that at all.
I don't know if they are assuming that because you've seen the floor rise, especially in the Big Ten, that they're assuming that's going to continue to happen.
But people still have to take losses. It's a zero. Football's a zero-sum game. Either you win or you lose. There's always going to be an equal amount of losers.
Yeah, I think again, it's just these are TV networks calling the shots. They're looking at it as if this is a basketball season, like college basketball, which it's not. We don't have that many. I just
think it's a mistake.
Yeah,
I think it's a mistake to even talk about a Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement. I hate it. I truly hate it. And then you're also punishing teams. If you have a great year, if you come up and have a year better than normal, so then what happens the next year? You get a tougher opponent when you lose all the players who won those games and you get a tougher out of conference opponent because you won. Really, we're going to punish people for winning football games?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. I don't see why would we incentivize ourselves to punish winning? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. And to me, that's what you're doing here. You're punishing winning. If you're sending, Ohio, or I guess Oregon is the league champions. But hey, congrats, Oregon. You won the Big Ten title. Now you got to go to Athens, Georgia to start next year.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good time.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't like it.
No, I mean, this is just, again, this is what happens when you have TV executives running the show and calling the shots. And Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are not making friends amongst the fan bases, in my opinion. I mean, I know some people are in favor of it, but I'm neither. I don't want to say like I hate it until I see what they're really going to come out with. But as of right now, with what I think they're seeming to be alluding to, it's not going to bode well for, I think, anybody at this point in time.
Yeah. So, hey, we kind of buried the lead. We didn't say that one of the things the SEC, so not starting in 2025, they're trying to change the seating. But for 2026, when it's a new contract, the SEC and the Big Ten are pushing to have a bunch of auto bids and basically make the committee irrelevant. So they want to have the SEC and Big Ten would each get 4 auto bids. The Big 12 and ACC would each get 2. The group of 5 would get 1, and then there's 1 at large, which more often than not is probably going to or is if they're good enough, is going to Notre Dame. If they win 10 or 11 games, it's going to them. Otherwise, another at large team. So let's talk about the hypocrisy right now. The Big Ten for this year, they want to empower the committee. They want to say, oh, conference championships don't matter. We want to go by the committee's rankings and be faithful to those and seed teams 1 through 12 based on that. But next year and every year going forward, F you, committee. We don't care what you think. We're going to take our auto bids. We're going to put our teams in the playoff. And I don't care if teams get screwed over or not.
Yeah.
So it is massive hypocrisy for the Big Ten and SEC to take those two opinions. Like, those are two opinions that are not intellectually consistent in any way.
No, I agree. And look, it's tough, man. Like, you're not going to make anybody happy, first of all. Like, that's very obvious. But I think that...
Yeah, I'm unhappy already.
I think, to me, it's I don't know what the right way to go is, because I also don't have faith in the committee. I know that it worked out this year, but at the same time, like, Ohio State had to go through the toughest gauntlet out of anybody, and they won the national title. But, like, other teams, that continuously, like we've talked about countless times, especially when it comes to the SEC, always get the benefit of the doubt from the start of the season. Yeah. And that's because of the committee. And I've always had an issue with that. And I know that a lot of times it kind of, susses itself out. But I don't know. I don't know what the right way is, because I'm not a favor of the auto bids, but I can see where they're coming from, because the committee has also not been fantastic.
There's going to be a year, though, John. There's going to be a year soon where the Big Ten and or the SEC have 5, not 4, not the 4 auto bids they want. They're going to have 5 teams that win 10 or more games. And when they have 5 teams, because of the way schedules line up, and it can all happen. We had 4 this past year.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the Big Ten. So when you have those 5 teams, what happens to that 5th team in the rankings?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get punted for a worse ACC or Big 12 team, because those conferences automatically get 2 bids when the Big 12 doesn't have a single top 25 earning, I don't believe, athletic department. Yeah. Like, they don't have anybody spending money. Like, the ACC at least has a few schools who are spending money to win a national championship. The Big 12 doesn't have any. So you're telling me they get 2 auto bids every year? That is going to come back, and it's going to cost the Big Ten. And it's not going to cost Ohio State or Michigan or Oregon or USC. It's going to cost Minnesota or Illinois or Indiana or Wisconsin or Iowa. That's who's going to take it on the chin, and that's who's going to miss the playoff, even though they're seated high enough to go to the playoff. Yeah. And that is why I am not cool with this, with all these auto bids. Mm-hmm. Not cool with it, because you're going to be ranked higher. And, like, the Big Ten isn't used to it, but the Big Ten is more and more as the years go by, the Big Ten is going to get the kind of bump that the SEC gets. You're going to see that happen more as time goes on, because they show it on the field, because we're going to see on the field that these are the two best conferences, the most well-resourced conferences.
Yeah.
And this isn't basketball where chemistry and blah, 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 and whatever. This is a bigger, faster, stronger sport. So yeah, there are skills. There are things like hand-eye coordination that are hard to tangibly evaluate. But it is a sport in general where like what you see is what you get a little bit to some extent. So I don't know.
So how would you prefer they go about it? What is your ideal, like, how, like, do you want to go straight rankings? Like
straight rankings, 1 through 14, period.
Yep.
Period. Because the Big Ten and the SEC are going to have the most ranked teams anyway.
Yep.
And like, why, again, I think the doomsday scenario is you get 4 or 5 teams that have 10 wins, and then the last 10-win team gets bumped out for a lesser ACC or Big 12 team or a lesser Notre Dame team.
Yep.
So that's what I think. So yeah, do I think the committee is perfect? No, not at all. The committee is always problematic. Yes, they overrate the SEC. We saw that this year, all year, and then versus what happened in the rankings versus what happened in actual bowl season and what happened in out of conference play. Like those were and the playoff. Those were two very different things.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So we saw the Big Ten get underrated there, but I still think I would rather take my chance with the committee than I am guaranteeing that there are going to be 4 teams in the Big 12 and the ACC who all deserve to be in the playoff. I don't believe that's going to happen most years.
Yeah.
So you're going to get, I think this is going to be bad. And then when they go to change it, they're not going to have any leverage because all the big plans will be made. They're not going to have the leverage left to get the Big 12 or the ACC to give up. I mean, once they have their auto bids, you're going to be have to claw them from their cold, dead hands. You know? So I don't know, man. I think the ACC and the Big 12 are making out like bandits in this. I think they're the ones who are the big winners here somehow. And that's a mistake by the Big Ten and SEC, in my opinion.
But do you think that the Big Ten and the SEC have so much confidence in those top 4 teams that are going to get in that essentially any teams that get in from the Big Ten or the Big 12 and the ACC they just have faith that they're going to get eliminated and not be a problem, and so therefore it's still locking in. They're still pretty locked in on winning the national title, either the SEC or the Big Ten. I mean, they would be either way, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, there are like 3 schools. I guess if you count Notre Dame, Clemson, Florida State, Miami. You're talking about outside of the Big Ten or SEC.
Yeah, like
who have a realistic shot at at making a run at a national title. So yeah. It's going to be the SEC and the Big Ten most of the time.
And that's what they
it's
want.
Going to be.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to mandate it. It's going to be that way anyway.
I agree.
And the Big 12 is going to beat itself up anyway to the point where there's not going to be, there's going to be like an 8-3 or sorry, not 9-3 or 8-4 Big 12 team that gets in somehow. A team that loses a non-conference game and does pretty well well enough in conference play to get second place or whatever, that's going to get in over a deserving Big Ten or SEC team, over just maybe both, maybe Big Ten. So like, I think the law of unintended consequences is coming into play here. And I think that, man, I wish every once in a while Tony Petitti would pick up his phone and call Jim Delaney. Be like, hey, Jim, I'm having a hard time. What do you think about this, buddy? Because I don't think he does that. And I think that they are making a big mistake, Sankey and Petitti. I think they're going to look really stupid when this happens. When you get more than 4 teams that deserve to be in from the SEC and the Big Ten, and I think that's going to happen more often than you think it is.
Well, one more question, and then we maybe we can move on from this. Is that, do you think, and these are just things I'm thinking of while we're discussing this right now, do you think that if that fails and there's an uproar of people getting upset because of those reasons that you're talking about, that is the reason why the Big Ten and the SEC will then split and create their own league. Because they'll be like, well, see, it's not working. Everybody's upset. Nobody's happy. So you know
I mean,
what?
I don't want to see that, man. I don't
either. But do you think that this is in a way like they're like, well, if it doesn't work out, this is just even more incentive for us to move
That's on. The threat. But I think they know that you would be turning off so many fans.
Mm-hmm.
Why would anyone who cheered for any of the group of 5, or I guess group of 6 now leagues, any of the non-power 2 leagues, why would you watch that?
Yeah.
Like, what would be the man? We saw the ratings sink when they had SEC rematches in the national title game, like Alabama, Georgia. Like those people weren't excited about that.
Yeah.
Outside of the SEC footprint, and when it was just the SEC and the ACC for a few years there, when Dabo was running hot and it was just Alabama and Clemson, like that wasn't fun.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. I think they need to have inclusion and they need to have it. So I guess I'm talking out both sides of my mouth a little bit. But I think if the Big 12 or ACC teams are good enough, they need to be in. They need to have a real shot, just like everybody else. But I also just don't think there's going to be more than one Big 12 team a year, most years, who's good enough to deserve that shot.
Yeah.
And so you're going to, I think you're going to come back for the next TV agreement. I think all the teams in the middle class, the Big 10, the SEC, are going to be like, okay, wait a second now. This is not cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully it swings back their direction at that point. But yeah, man, I just can't get over them trying to make the committee be in charge of everything this year and then nothing next year and going forward. That's my hypocritical moment of like for college football of the year so far. I think that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we talked about what we would do. I said I would go just 1 through, because they're going to expand to 14. Okay, 1 through 14, top 2 get buys. What would you do? How would you do it?
Well, I already know you're not going to like this.
Okay.
But to me, like they've already basically told us that they're going to expand to 16. Like they're going to do it.
Oh.
So I'm tired of all of this change. I don't like it. Let me just preface everything that I don't want it. This isn't what I want. Actually want. Like this isn't going to make me feel good.
Right.
Other than the only thing that would make me feel good about it. And the only thing is that it would just be done. Like, let's just freaking get there already. I'm tired of this, they think they're gradually moving us in. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this on podcasts this week. Like, it's this incremental change, but it's more frustrating than anything, because it's going to change again. And they're telling us that. So it's like, what's the point in going to 14 when you're the very next year you're really planning on going to 16 already? So we don't get to settle in on anything. And to me, I just let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's just get it over with. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of this kind of stuff happening. Obviously it creates great content. Thank you for that. But it's just, I think people are fatigued by all of this, on myself obviously included.
Oh yeah. I'm so sick of it.
And the only other thing, I guess there's that. So that's the first thing I guess when it comes to my ideal. But then also what I think conditions of what I would like to just if I were the college football commissioner is you have to be affiliated officially with a conference directly. Yes, I'm never gonna stop. Never.
No, you're not. I like it. It's your drum and you're gonna bang it.
And I want every single playoff game other than the semis and the national title game played on campus.
Yeah, that's it. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to forget. And I want that too. Yeah. Everything except for the semis and the natty on campus. Do it for real. Have a real home crowd. So I guess if that's a 14, team playoff, that's a couple rounds on campus.
Yeah. And it's funny, because everyone we've talked to is in favor of more on-campus games. And then I listened to frickin' Dan Wetzel and Pat Forty on Yahoo Sports.
Oh, Lord.
Basically, I think it was Dan Wetzel said it more than once. I think it was Dan Wetzel. I could be wrong. Pat Forty said some things too. But I think it was Dan Wetzel who was like, yeah, well, I mean, the ratings weren't even that much higher. I mean, it wasn't even that, like, it didn't change much. I'm like, that's not what it's about, dude. It's about the people who go to these games.
Yeah.
Because they want to be able to attend and see their team play at home and not have to spend thousands of dollars traveling, booking flights, getting to hotels. Like, who
to not have a home field advantage.
Yes.
Even then you're having a neutral site game. It's like you should, if your team ranked high enough in the country, you should get to host a playoff game. How cool was it for all those fan bases? How cool was it in Happy Valley? Oh man, the Kevin Jennings, right, looked so scared.
Yeah. And how great was
for
it
SMU? He looked so scared.
And to have like teams play in the cold.
Oh, Tennessee, man. Tennessee wanted no part of it.
Well, and inevitably, so yeah, okay, Dan Wetzel or whoever it was. It wasn't Ross Dellinger. It was Dan Wetzel, and maybe it was Pat Forty, but I'm sure Pat Forty agreed. What is that? We would just go back to inevitably having these neutral site games be in favor of the Southern conferences, because where are they going to hold them? They're going to hold them in Dallas.
They hold them in the South and the West. Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be in Chicago. It's not going to be in Indianapolis. Like, it's going to be
not going to be in Minneapolis. It's not going to be. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it should be. The Natty should rotate over around the whole country. That's my other thing. I'm okay with the semifinals being in like the major bowl places.
Yep.
And so you get 2 of the major bowls each year, get a semifinal game. Sure, great, fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Totally with it.
But then that national title game should rotate around the entire country.
Yep. So that's my ideal situation.
Yeah.
Just get it over with and get to 16. Have all but the semis and the Natty on campus. That's it.
All right. Well, I don't want to see 16. I think that's
I
think you should get a bye. I think if you're the best teams in the country, you should get a bye.
I agree.
But I see what you're saying for sure. All right. I got real fired up there, John.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good discussion.
Yeah, it was. All right. So now should we transition to something a little less, well, I don't know if it's less heated or not.
It might not be for us, but there could be listeners who might not be happy with our picks.
Yeah. So we decided, because it's February, that we are going to rank all of the teams in the Big Ten based on a combination of their color schemes and uniforms, because I don't think you can separate them out.
No.
You can't just say, oh, that team has really cool uniforms. It's just too bad their colors suck.
Yep.
It negatively impacts your uniform if your colors are bad.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think this will be probably pretty contentious. I don't know if we're going to agree on everything. And we are going to break down each of our 1 through 18. I was going to say, should we go worst to best or best? I almost think it's better if we go best to worst.
Okay.
Because then we build up.
Yeah.
Or do you want to go worst? No, or should we go worst to best?
Let's do best to worst. I feel like, because that's going to be, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then, should I start?
You start out.
All right. So I have in my number 1 spot the Penn State Nittany Lions. Their school colors are blue and white. Quote, the colors blue and white are fundamentally tied to our shared identity of being Penn Staters since adoption in 1890, representing our community's pride and strong roots across Pennsylvania and beyond. Penn State fanatics may also have a soft spot for pink and black, the original school colors. The 1887 pairing make appearances in throwback jerseys and student section T-shirts, paying homage to the short-lived school colors. Close quote. So for me, man, Penn State's classic home unis are their best look by far. White helmets, blue jerseys, white pants, no names on the back, the whole thing. I generally hate white as part of a color scheme, but I think the way it offsets that Penn State deep blue is fantastic. And Penn State also, it is just, when they do a whiteout, it's night, and their whole crowd dresses in white, and their players have, they have the blue uniforms on, but they have the white helmets. There's just glare everywhere. And you can see opposing teams get disoriented about it.
Yeah.
like stressed out about it. And I mean, and you and I have both been there. We can attest the noise is crazy.
Yeah.
But I think, man, for me, I just think Penn State knows how to do it, and they dress that way consistently. They don't need a million alternate uniforms. So because of all that, because of the whiteout, because of the tradition, because of the consistency, I've got Penn State number one.
Fair. That's I love that. And you know, they're very, very, very high on mine as well. And I agree. I think that it's
Where'd you have them?
Disorienting. I have them at number 2.
Okay.
They are my number 2. Not my number 1. My number 1, and yes, I am 100% a homer on this, but here is my reasoning, my justification for why I am picking Minnesota and the maroon and gold.
Nice.
So, to me, let's just say that the and you can correct me or add anything if there's something else I'm missing here. That the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers came from the a radio announcer, or was it a news reporter, or both?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I believe it was a radio announcer who was announcing, because Minnesota was obviously a very successful team, and they were coming off a win streak, and this radio announcer said, "And here come the Golden Gophers."
Yeah,
and that stuck. And then gold became a part of our color scheme. So what I love, the thing that I love about Minnesota and our colors, and really what I also love about like Virginia Tech, like you have these autumnal colors, which to me just makes you feel like you feel that vibe of fall, which to me is all football for me.
That's interesting. I never made that connection before, but you're so right.
Yeah, like you see Virginia Tech, you see the maroon and the orange, like, which is obviously very like fall leaves colors. Same thing with the maroon and gold. Mm-hmm. It gives me this warmth. It gives me this like just solid feel, and I know I'm a fan, and I know this is coming from a biased opinion, and I admit it. Free to tell me whatever you want about it, but that's where I'm coming from with the maroon and gold. Is it just speaks to that fall feel and the season that you're living in and existing in during football season. And you look out on the stadium and you look at the uniforms, not as much as I like it nowadays, because we have way too many color schemes, in my opinion. This last year was much better.
Much better last year.
We've had other things, and we've discussed that. But I think you look at the uniforms, you look at the crowd and the colors, and it just feels so much even more like fall. You just feel that cozy, that warm feeling, even if you're freezing out there. And it's just got the vibe, man. It really just does for me. So that's where I have Minnesota at number 1.
Yeah, awesome.
Penn State number 2.
Cool. Well, I have, since you said Minnesota, I have the Gophers at 3. And I punished them, and I'll tell you why, actually, right off the bat. I punished them for this year, and this might be a 1-year thing, but because we never saw what the fans want to see, which is our iconic look, which is maroon helmets, maroon jerseys, yellow gold pants.
Yep.
That's Minnesota's iconic combo. That's what it used to be every game at home.
Yep.
For years and years and years. And I don't need it to be like that every game, but I want to see it once a year.
Yeah.
And we didn't see, somehow, with all the combinations, which is kind of impressive that we wore, because it's not like we wore a bunch of alternates. We leaned into our school colors last fall.
Yep.
But somehow, despite leaning into our school colors, we never wore our best, most iconic look.
It's bizarre.
So that made me drop him to 3. And let me just say quick, actually, in the maroon and gold thing, it's interesting. It goes all the way back to 1880. University of Minnesota was preparing for spring graduation. For the previous 29 years, different graduation colors were used every ceremony. In the spring of 1880, President Falwell of Falwell Hall began a tradition of common school colors at the university. He asked an English instructor, Mrs. Augusta Smith, to select proper colors to use for graduation ribbons and other occasions. She chose maroon and gold. It made a favorable impression on the students and faculty in 1880. As the years passed, without any kind of formal action, maroon and gold just kind of became the official school colors. And the Gophers happened to be wearing yellow that day when they came out and called them the Golden Gophers. So it was all cool thing about our program is everything that happened is very organic.
Yeah.
And I also love the idea, and this will be a theme as we go on, but that like random students and teachers were just in charge of this. And then like what they did then echoes into eternity here, like in, 145 years later.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Like, which is cool. And I just think, man, what would it be like to take some of the people who were in charge of setting the school colors and bring them into modern times and take them to a Big Ten football game? Like, I feel like it would blow their minds on any number of levels.
It'd be amazing. Yeah. I love that. And that's what's so cool, again, about college football, this kind of stuff. This is why we love it. So who's your number two?
I'm not done talking about the Gophers yet. Oh. So I might be biased, but I think Minnesota has elite colors. The deep shade of maroon preferred by Minnesota makes the yellow gold pop by contrast. It's a fantastic look. Minnesota has a lot of fun variations they do. For Penn State, they went all maroon with yellow numbers and a yellow M on the helmet. That's an elite look. Against USC, they did yellow helmets, maroon jerseys, maroon pants, which was fun. And they also had the big maroon M on the helmet. I don't like the throwback they did for Maryland as much, as white isn't one of our colors. And I don't know why you choose to wear white pants and helmets instead of your actual colors. So that was not, I know it was a throwback, not my favorite. But yeah, all maroon is fine too. But like I said, what the people want to see, what the people are clamoring for, PJ.
They
maroon,
are.
And PJ, I know you're listening. Maroon lids, maroon jerseys, yellow pants. Please.
Yep.
That's what we want to see. So thank you for getting rid of the black jersey unis and not doing those last year.
And the chrome helmets.
That. What?
And the chrome helmets.
And the chrome helmets. They got rid of those. So I'm very happy about that.
Yep.
But yeah. All right. So you said now I'm moving to number 2 for me.
Yeah.
This one hurts me a lot. Actually. I didn't want to pick them. I really didn't. I've got the University of Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah.
School colors, maize and blue. Quote, the selection of school colors for Michigan has an interesting background. The first recorded association of any color with the university appears in 1859 when a ribbon of deep blue was attached to the diploma of an Elijah Jones. It was not until 1867 that a group of students formally met and adopted azure blue and maize as its official school colors. However, no one actually specified the exact colors until 1912 when school officials chose fabric ribbons depicting the actual shades. And yeah, they've been wearing the maize and blue for over 100 years. And that's the thing about Michigan that sticks out to me is the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they don't call it yellow or gold. They're like Minnesota calling it gold when it's really yellow, or like Michigan calling it maize when it's really yellow. I like that.
Yeah.
Just doing your own thing with it. But they're just also really consistent, and it's a clean look. And they wear the same unis for almost every single home game. They did go all blue jerseys and pants against USC and Texas, but they still have the maize color on the helmets. And at every other game, they do their traditional look, with the blue jerseys, the yellow pants, and then the stripes.
The winged helmet.
The winged helmet with both the blue and the yellow.
Yep.
So I just think it's clean. I think it's really good. And Michigan, I hate to praise you, but I just think those are iconic uniforms. So I've got I've got Michigan at number 2.
Okay. Well, Michigan's my number 3. So
all right.
For exactly the same reason. I think it's classic. It's iconic. Those winged helmets, especially. I mean, everybody knows what the Michigan Wolverines uniforms look like. It's just, it's not hard to figure out. There isn't any other power conference school that has that color scheme, blue and like a blue and a yellow.
Cal Berkeley.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. Okay. So Cal Berkeley. Gosh. I mean, I know there's you could say UCLA, but it's a different.
No, it's not. It's different.
Yeah, it's different. So, yeah. So same, man. I think it's great. I think it's iconic. And the winged helmets especially.
All right. So we are up to, so you gave your number 3. So are we at me on number 4?
Yep.
All right. For number 4, I've got the Ohio State Buckeyes. The colors are scarlet and gray. The Ohio State school colors of scarlet and gray were chosen by a committee of 3 students prior to, including one woman, so good for them being progressive, prior to the school's first graduation ceremony in 1878. The committee's original recommendation was to be orange and black, but then the committee was told that Princeton already used those colors. So they changed their recommendations. For this reason, some references claim that Ohio State's original school's colors were orange and black, but that's not quite accurate because they never actually adopted it. So I think it's a strong color scheme. Gray's a tricky color to work around, but Ohio State makes it look good. And my favorite Buckeye look is what they did for the Texas playoff game. Gray helmets, scarlet jerseys, gray pants. I think the gray contrasted with the scarlet really makes that bright scarlet pop. It's by far my favorite Ohio State look. I like that a lot of players also wear scarlet cleats with that look. Less impressed with the guys wearing black cleats. You know who you are. My only issue with the Ohio State unis and what stops me from ranking them higher is the helmet stickers. They look like a bunch of toddlers got into the helmets and just started throwing stickers on everywhere. I get that it's a motivational thing for the players, but I think the helmet stickers look tacky and awful. So, yeah, that's what holds me back from having Ohio State any higher in my rankings.
When did they start using those helmet stickers? Because I know it wasn't always a thing. There's been multiple.
No, I don't know.
I know that there's been multiple different Ohio State helmets. I remember I saw it when I was looking it up, but I'm not sure when that started. But yeah, I agree. Not a huge fan of the helmet stickers on any helmet on any school in
I
the
hate
country.
them. They're so tacky. They're so tacky.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's not my thing, but I know now it's like entrenched in their culture and what they do. So just what it is. Yeah, I hear you on that. Okay. Well, my four is the Northwestern Wildcats.
Nice.
And my number 4, Northwestern, being purple, is, in purple had been associated with Northwestern ever since 1879, when purple and gold replaced black and gold as their school colors. Smart choice. In 1892, royal purple was made not only the official school color, but the symbol of the university. The school's athletic teams were unofficially called the Purple from the mid-1890s through the 1920s. It can be argued that no other school in the nation with purple as its team color is associated with that color in the national conscience, as is Northwestern University. When Northwestern took the field the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is unique, which they, I believe, at least according to this website, is that the Northwestern striping was something that they started with a set of stripes on each sleeve, a narrow stripe over a wide stripe over a narrow stripe.
Oh, interesting.
So that was something supposedly started there and then was adopted by like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants.
Oh, wow.
Trendsetters. Yep, they set a whole trend, and so I thought that was kind of cool. Now, I don't like. The reason they're at number 4 is because I don't like that they pull out the Gothic look. I don't like that look, but I get it. I don't get the Gothic script, but I get the coloring, obviously, because they, at one point in time, like I already stated, they had black and gold as their school colors. So adding that along with the purple makes sense as a throwback, but I still don't understand the Gothic. I think that's weird, and I don't think it looks good. But I picked Northwestern because I just think that it's a unique color. It pops.
Yeah.
When they have that purple and white with the stripes, like that looks good, man. That looks really good on the field. So, and plus, like, supposedly being the first team to rock the purple, I think is pretty cool. So
yeah. I love the purple. I had Northwestern 7, so pretty high up there. But here's my only critique. Northwestern should always go all purple at home. It's a fun, vibrant look. I don't like when they go with the white pants. Like, I just don't. I just think I think their only real school color is purple. Lean into it. Be all purple.
Love it.
Yeah. Right on. So that was your number 4.
Yep.
All right. And now my number 5 is, I didn't really want to pick this one either, but I can't deny what's iconic. And I just don't think you can deny the USC Trojans. It's a really, really iconic look. Let's see. Oh no, I lost it. Oh, here we go. Cardinal and gold. It was approved by USC's third president, the Reverend George W. White, in 1896. In 1958, the shade of gold, which was originally more of an orange color, was changed to a more yellow shade. The Lettersman's Awards were the first to make the change. Dude, I mean, USC has iconic unis. The Cardinal helmets, the Cardinal jerseys, the yellow gold pants. The mascot on the helmet is great too.
I like that. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really cool. You know, USC, you say what you want about them otherwise, they have some of the best uniforms in college football, I think.
Sure. Well, I'll get into when I tell you about USC and what I think. They are not super high on my.
Ooh, you have them much lower. Good. We have some dissent.
Yeah. But for me, go right across town for my number 5, and I got the UCLA Bruins.
Okay.
The UCLA athletics team's colors are UCLA blue and Westwood gold, which I love that. The blue symbolizes the ocean and wildflowers, yellow to reflect the Golden State, the California poppy, and sunsets. So poetic. Early days of
Absolutely.
the school, in the early days, UCLA had had the same school colors as University of California, Berkeley, Yale blue and gold. When football coach Red Sanders came to UCLA for the 1949 season, he redesigned the football uniforms. The Yale blue was changed to a lighter shade of blue. Sanders figured that the baby blue would look better on the field and in a film. He would dub the baby blue uniform Powder Keg Blue. So I love that. I think that's cool. UCLA, again, iconic. Like the UCLA script on the helmets, that powder blue with that gold, that real true gold color, I think just pops, man. I really think it does. I think it does look good on TV. I like that they try to separate themselves from Cal Berkeley. Obviously, smart move there. I don't know. It just does it for me, man. I think it just looks really good on that field, and I'm sure you were there, and I'm sure it looked really good. In the Rose Bowl. So yeah, man. That's it.
I've got UCLA at 13.
Oh wow.
So, man, you can't sell me on metallic gold like ever. Like ever. I don't think it ever looks good.
Okay.
I think the baby blue is gorgeous. And that's why I have USC or UCLA as high as I do, is that baby blue. I think they should lean into that as much as possible. I think when they go gold helmets, it's fine. But when they go gold pants, oh, man, I don't like that. I think that's a bad look. So, yeah, that's interesting. This is our first one. It's good. We shouldn't agree on everything. That would be boring.
Yep.
So I'm glad we could change it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Am I up or are you?
You're up. I just said my 5th, right?
You're 5. Okay, so I'm at number 6.
Yeah.
All right, for number 6, I went to a school that's very close to my heart. A school that has awesome colors, I think. And that's the Indiana University Hoosiers.
Mm-hmm.
Their school colors were chosen by the class of 1888 to confront the problem of multiple colors, because crimson and black were the school colors, but the senior class's colors were cream and gold. And the senior class was like, hey, we want one of our colors in there. And they let them do it. So in order to eliminate confusion, they combined the two color groupings for the binding and introduced the cream and crimson. Man, I think it's so funny that the senior class of 1888 was like, actually, our colors aren't good enough, so we're going to change them.
Yeah.
And they clearly had color sense, because crimson and cream is infinitely better than crimson and black. It just is.
Yep.
Their previous colors. But imagine the world where that committee combined the colors the other way and went with black and gold. Oh, that would have been not great. Foreshadowing, John. Foreshadowing. It's possible. It's possible. So yeah, I like the mostly crimson look that Indiana wore against all their Big Ten opponents this year. I like the consistency, the crimson helmets, the crimson jerseys, the white pants. They wore that same look for all their home games, which is fun. I would prefer to see cream instead of white because you're crimson and cream. I don't know why they have to wear white. That bothers me.
Yes.
But it's still a good look. And I love the IU on the helmet. It looks like a trident.
Yep.
I think that's fun.
Well, we did agree on this one because I also have them at 6. And
okay. I had them at 5. But
no. I have them at I have them at 6.
Oh no, I had them at 6 too. No, you're right.
Yes.
I'm wrong. Yes, you have them at 6 also. Right on.
I have them at 6. And I agree with you. I think that my issue is that I would love to see more of the cream rather than a more white color. I think that it just would make them stand out more. That we already have other red and white teams.
So many. We have so many red and white teams.
And the other thing I want, and we talked about this when we ranked mascots like a year or two ago, is like, let's get the freaking buffalo on the helmet, man.
Yes.
Let's do it. Like,
absolutely.
I like the trident look, like the IU. I think that's cool, but like, I'm all about, you and I are all about putting mascots on the helmets, dude.
It's true.
Okay?
We are.
And it doesn't have to be all the time, but every once in a while, like, I would love to see that, so do a little throwback. That'd be great.
Yeah. That's one thing we didn't talk about with Minnesota that they do. They'll put Goldie on the helmet a couple times a year, and that's always a good time.
It is.
Yeah. Right on.
Cool.
All right. So we are at, I guess that's number 7 for me. Well, I already did my 7. That was Northwestern. So who do you have at number 7?
Number 7, I have. One second. I do love the fact that there are I like that they're called the Silver Bullets. I think Ohio State with the colors as well, like, it's very unique. Like I already said, I don't like the helmet stickers either, but I think they're mostly classic, man. Like, they don't change a lot.
Yep.
They stick to it. They know who they are, and there's no need to. Like, when they did, gosh, what did they do a few years ago? I know they did an all black. Didn't they do a horrible like a mostly silver or something at one point?
Yeah.
Like an all gray.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
It's not great.
So just don't do that again.
No.
So just don't do that again. We'll be fine.
Scarlet's got to be the star. Scarlet is the star. Gray is like a bassist. It's there to help you along. But the Scarlet is driving the tempo. The Scarlet is the percussion and the lead guitar. It's doing the whole thing.
Yep.
So, like, you got to feature the Scarlet.
I'm all about it.
Awesome. All right. For number 8, I have a school that I used to grow up secretly. John, on the side, was a school that I cheered for. Because my hatred of Michigan was so much, as an old school Gopher fan, the way I was raised, that I sort of associated with Michigan State because they also hated Michigan and rarely beat them the way we hated Michigan and rarely beat them. So Michigan State University, obviously we have in 1899, the Athletic Association of Michigan Agricultural College began considering adopting a green monogram for intercollegiate athletes. And in 1903, Chester L. Brewer became the school's first full-time director of athletics, and the colors came into wider use. I don't love white as a color, but I do think pairing it with like a deep blue or deep like Penn State or deep green, the way Michigan State does, is just better than pairing it with red.
I agree.
I don't like white and red together. I don't think it's a great look, and you'll see why as my rankings progress.
Yep.
But my favorite look is like when Sparty goes all green, like they did against Rutgers this year. I also give them credit for consistency as they went all green, and I think most, if not all of their Big Ten home games. So that's really cool. That said, the unis themselves aren't that exciting, but they're pretty crisp. The white S on the green helmet looks good. I just think, I'm a little underwhelmed by them, so that's why I don't have them any higher.
Well, and they put the Spartan on the side of the helmet too sometimes. So
Yes.
that's also great.
I like it when they do that as well.
Yeah, I have Sparty at 9, but I
Okay.
definitely I agree. I think that they're mostly clean. I like the green jersey. I like the green helmet with the Sparty on the side of the helmet, the green jersey, and the white pants. That's generally my favorite.
Yeah. That's a good look.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like amazing, but I think they're clean. So I'm in favor of it. And I always have been partial to Sparty for the reasons you said too. So
And they've been pretty consistent in their style over the decades, which I appreciate.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Other than that neon green. Don't ever do that.
Oh yeah. No.
Let's never do that. So okay. My number 8 are the Maryland Terrapins.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 4 official colors of the University of Maryland are drawn from the striking and distinctive Maryland state flag. The red, white, black, and gold represent the shield in the coat of arms George Calvert, First Lord Baltimore, and original colonial proprietor of Maryland. The shield features alternating quadrants of yellow and black colors from his paternal family, the Calverts, together with the red and white colors of his maternal family, the Crosslands.
Wow, this is really personal to this one dude.
Yeah, this is pretty intense. That's why I kind of like this, is because I'm like, this is really in depth. The Maryland General Assembly adopted the banner of this design as the state flag in 1904. The University of Maryland did not always have 4 official colors, however. Excuse me. Early athletic uniforms were simply gray or maroon and gray, which is pretty drab. And it was commonplace for each graduating class to select its individual colors. The transition to black and gold occurred in the early 1920s, and these 2 hues dominated until 1942, when then football coach Clark Shaughnessy switched the team's uniforms to red and white. Black and gold remained in the mix as accents and occasionally returned as the predominant colors, as in the case of men's basketball uniforms in the mid-1980s. Today, all 4 colors are proudly featured in Terps athletic uniforms. Okay. I hated the uniforms of Maryland up until either this last year or 2 years ago, when they brought it back to just the Terps on the side of the helmet.
They stopped having those NASCAR uniforms, which were the worst in the history of the Big Ten.
That was
the worst in the history of the Big Ten.
So the way they look now, love it.
No, they look great with the script Terps on the helmet, and it's clean, it's crisp, it's no notes.
That's where I'm at. So
I've got them at 9 because of that. I had them because you had them as your 8. I had them as my 9 because of that.
So that's what I'm in favor of now. Just don't ever go back to the NASCAR uniforms.
Yep, absolutely agree with you. Maryland, good job upgrading. It's proof that even the ugliest uniforms can be fixed. All right, who'd you have at 9 then?
Did I say Sparty already? I thought I
had
Sparty. Nope.
We talked about Sparty. Yeah, but you had them at 9. Okay.
Yeah, I have Sparty at 9. Yep.
Nice. All right. So then moving on to 10. And at 10, I've got Rutgers. So let's see. Oh, sorry, I just lost my place. Oh, their only school color is scarlet. Initially, students sought to make orange the school color, citing Rutgers' Dutch heritage and in reference to the Prince of Orange. The Rutgers student publication Targum, which would go on to become the Daily Targum, first proposed that scarlet be adopted in May 1869, claiming it was a striking color and because scarlet ribbon was easily obtained. During the first collegiate football game with Princeton on November 6, 1869, the players from Rutgers wore scarlet-colored turbans and handkerchiefs to distinguish them as a team from the Princeton players. The Board of Trustees officially made scarlet the school color in 1900. And it's in its early days, I like this, Rutgers athletes were known informally as the Scarlet in reference to the school color, or as Queensmen in reference to the institution's first name, Queens College. So I like the night. I like that whole vibe. I think Rutgers is at their best, and this is a theme if you've been listening to me, when they go scarlet from head to toe. You know? I love that. I think it pops. I think it's loud. It's kind of in your face. It's kind of a brash color. It's a kind of a brash shade of scarlet.
Yeah.
So I like it. Yeah, I figure if you're going to lean into it, just go the whole way. Just do it up.
I'm with you. I agree. I like that. My main issue, again, and this is something I think you and I are both obviously on board with, is why the heck have they never put a Scarlet Knight on the side of their helmet? Like, never once done it. I think it's a
So
mistake,
strange.
and I think you need to get on it. I'm not saying, again, doesn't have to be all the time, but I've seen graphics where they've had, like, for t-shirts or hats of the Scarlet Knight, like, there you can easily put, like, do a similar thing to what Sparty does, if you will, like that profile. You could do a profile of a Scarlet Knight, like, or of a knight, helmet or whatever. So that'd be cool. I'd love to see that, but yeah. I
Where'd
think
you
that's
have Rutgers?
a good place for him. I have Rutgers at 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Nice.
have Rutgers at 11. I have a lot of the same feelings as you do about it as well. I do like that they don't go a little too crazy. It is cool when they go all red. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Awesome. So what's your 10?
My 10 is the Washington Huskies.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So Washington school colors, purple and gold, were adopted in 1892 by a vote of a student assembly on the original downtown Seattle campus. One patriotic group favored red, white, and blue as the university's colors.
Oh no.
Yeah, reasoning
Oh.
yeah, terrible, right?
Yeah.
Reasoning that since the school was named after the father of our country, our national colors should be the school colors. The opposing faction argued that national colors should not be degraded for such everyday use. The debate was ended when a young English instructor, Miss Fraser, stood and read the following excerpt from Lord Byron, Destruction of Sennacherib. I think I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but the excerpt was: the Assyrian came down like the wolf on the fold, and his cohorts were gleaming in purple and gold, and the sheen of their spears was like stars on the sea, and the blue wave rolls nightly on deep Galilee.
All right.
So, I like that. I thought that was kind of a cool story. And I like the purple and gold. I think it looks good. I don't like it when they go too far into the black. I know that they've incorporated that a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I'd like for them to stay away from that a little bit more. I really like it when it's like purple and gold with an accent of white.
Yeah.
That looks good. So, I like the story. I think it's an interesting story. I'm glad you didn't do red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Good move.
I'm with you. I think they should lean into the purple. You know me, I don't love metallic gold. I just don't. So like, I think they should go all purple all the time. I think they're very fun. That's why I had them 12 and not any lower. I just think that Northwestern executes the purple a little better than Washington does.
Okay.
All right. So for my number 11, and now I just want to be clear that I had my tiers are 1 through 3 and then 4 through 10. And now we're getting into the uniforms I really don't like.
Okay.
Now we're taking the gloves off. Gonna be real about things that I don't like, and in some cases don't respect. And in this case, at 11, I have the Iowa Hawkeyes. So their school colors are gold. At a senior class meeting in spring of 1887, student Marvin H. Day suggested the university was behind the times in failing to adopt school colors in a school song. A committee subsequently recommended gold as a school color. Students approved the choice at a mass meeting. A woman present at the meeting took an old gold ribbon from her hair, tore it into pieces, passed them around as samples. Black was also adopted at some points. By 1891, gold had been accepted as one of Iowa's colors, but there was question as to the shade, old gold or simply gold. They made it old gold at the time, but that shade has shifted over time, shifting all the way up until I believe like 1970. So the reason why Iowa's not any lower is they do have the tiger hawk on the helmet, which is somewhat iconic. So I give them credit for that. That said, if you look at the arms and you look at the pants and you look at the jerseys, they are all straight up knockoffs of the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are we talking about? Yep. They just literally took the Steelers uniforms, changed them as little as possible, and adapted them for college football. The Tiger Hawk on the helmet is kind of cool, but the fact that you literally just copied a pro football team for your style shows that you have no swag, Iowa. You have no swag. You may be a decent football program, but swag, none of it. None.
Well,
you look ridiculous out there.
It's funny you say that because the university adopted those uniforms only in 1979, not that long ago, by Coach Hayden Fry.
Who was copying the Steelers, who just won 4 Super Bowls.
Yes, he believed that the Steelers' successful image would help reinvigorate the Iowa football program.
That's like being like, well, I didn't want to do the assignment, so I copied the person sitting next to me. Like, what are you? Amazing, dude. Yeah. So Iowa, terrible.
I've seen some of their older uniforms before that, and I liked them. They looked good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. So we are that was 11 for me.
My next at 12.
Okay, you had Iowa at 12.
Yeah. So my 11 is the USC Trojans.
USC, okay.
Yes.
All right.
My issue with them, which again is it's just because of my own fandom. I think they're just an uglier version of our maroon and gold. I know that's not what they're listed as, but I just don't like them. I don't think they look good. I think that it's almost like a burnt red.
It looks like kind of like a fire truck.
Yes, and it just doesn't hit me right, man. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
it just doesn't feel good on the eyes. I will give them credit though for having the Trojan on the side of the helmet. I think that's iconic. I think that's great. But it just doesn't look good. It looks kind of drab. Again, boring on the field to me. That's all.
That's fair, man.
Yep.
So I had USC. I had at 5. Then at my 12, we had Washington, we already talked about. And 13, I had UCLA, who we already talked about. So do you have anybody we haven't talked about yet at 12 or 13?
I had at 13, I have the I already did UCSC. I have the Oregon Ducks.
The Oregon Ducks. Okay, nice.
Okay, so the school colors still in use today are yellow and green, believe it or not. Those are the actual school colors, everybody.
You wouldn't know from watching the team.
Yeah, you wouldn't really know. Lemon yellow was chosen in 1893, and the emerald green followed shortly thereafter. In terms of the university of their logo, which has been in use since 1999, there is much more current and specific America. Anyway, so I think that here's the thing. I love the yellow and green. I think it looks great together. I think it looks awesome. I think they should do that more often. When they do, I think it looks good. I think it's just like it really speaks to, I think, the state of Oregon, the lush green, countryside that you see throughout there in the hills and everything, because it is, and and then maybe like the sunset over the ocean and what have you. So. But I don't like the fact that they have so many freaking options now. And some of them, okay, cool. Like you want to go different versions of yellow and green within your color scheme. Cool. But you don't. You go totally off. And I've seen pink. I've seen gray. I've seen black. I've seen
black all the time, man. They wear black all the time.
And like there was orange in there, which like, okay, I thought it was kind of cool to put the duck feet on your shoes. Like that was kind of cool, very college football.
But then they put the duck on the shoulder with the orange feet, and it looks tacky and cartoony, man.
Yeah,
and you know what else? You talk about the green, the lush green. They don't do the lush green anymore. That was like a Mike Bellotti, Chip Kelly thing. Now they do this like cartoony light green that I can't stand.
Yeah.
So like, I guess I see why they go black unis all the time, but like, I think of like the Dennis Dixon at quarterback, Mike Bellotti at head coach, early Chip Kelly era,
Yep.
like that deep hunter green. That really popped against the yellow.
Yeah, I agree.
And you didn't have the silly cartoon duck on the shoulder, which again, I am not a fan of. So I think their best look this year was against Sparty when they went all yellow jerseys and pants, just all yellow. But even then, the helmets were mostly black.
Yeah.
So I've got, man, you said you got Oregon there. I'll let you know I've got Oregon coming up, but it's going to be a little while because I've got them closer to the bottom.
Yeah, I think with Oregon, I want to see more. I liked the block O better than this, like the weird like zero.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool, more classic. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of all of the. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yes. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And Oregon they jumped the shark on the uniforms a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I honestly think if it wasn't for the massive amounts of money they're pushing at people, I think at some point that would hurt them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because they have unlimited money, and so good for them. All right. Next up at 14, I have the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So this was funny to find out, John. Apparently, the University of Nebraska school colors are scarlet and cream.
Yeah. Crazy.
Chosen by the students in 1892. They're mentioned in 3 school songs. They are the official colors of the university. Red and white are generic. Scarlet is a particular hue of red. Cream is not white at all. Use scarlet and cream if you can, is what they say. So Nebraska has the same problem Indiana has, in that their colors officially are crimson and cream, but in reality, their squads are wearing scarlet and cream, but in reality, their squads are wearing red and white. The Nebraska unis are kind of generic. They don't do anything special with the N on the helmet. It's understated to the point it doesn't look fun at all. The red is kind of a bright, ugly red. The white is, it's white. They're pretty consistent in what they wear, so I give them credit for that. They wore the exact same unis in all their Big Ten home games. So good for them. But, man, Nebraska just has really blah unis, man. They aren't fully terrible or anything, but they're just incredibly boring, which is why I have them ranked where I do.
Well, I have Nebraska at 15. Okay. And I'm with you. The props I will give them is the consistency that, you know what, like you are going to see the same thing pretty much every time. And, so there's a reliability factor that I appreciate. So I'll give them credit for that. They're very much all about tradition, and I respect that. But yeah, where's the cream? I don't see it. So, anyway, so with me, my number 14, Nebraska was 15 for me, and my number 14, which I think you're not gonna be happy about this.
Oh, really? Okay.
My number 14 is the Fighting Illini.
Really? Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Make your case.
Yeah. All right. Well, first, the school colors of the University of Illinois have had many facelifts over the years. Originally, students adopted silver on a cardinal background as the university's colors in 1879. While the colors drastically changed a couple more times, the official colors of the University of Illinois were established in 1894 as orange and navy blue. The orange and blue color combo didn't just make an impact in Champaign-Urbana. The Chicago Bears' first home was in Decatur, Illinois, not far down the road from Champaign. George Papa Bear Hollis founded the Bears in 1920 and decided the team colors would be orange and blue after Illinois, Hollis's alma mater. Excuse me. Today, the colors of orange and blue don't just represent the university, but the state of Illinois. School colors serve as a tie to the geographic location of the university, representing the sun rising into the blue Midwest sky. The color blue is authoritative and powerful, and navy specifically suggests loyalty and integrity, while orange is associated with the characteristics of creativity, determination, and success. So I picked this because, to me, out of the color schemes I have left, this is the most unique.
Okay.
It's
It's certainly
recognizable.
that.
It definitely is, and I know where you're going. But I think it's unique. I think you is not saying it's good. It's just unique. And yeah, I just think out of the last the other three that I have left, this this is like it just stands out more, and that's I appreciate that. I guess that's all.
Sure. Here's what I'll say about Illinois and their colors. It would be one thing if they wore navy blue, but they don't wear navy blue. They wear clown car blue and orange. And that's how I imagine Illinois should enter the football stadium, with a driver dressed as a clown with makeup and floppy shoes and the whole thing, who gets out of the car, drives a little car out of the field, gets out of it, opens the back, and out of it out come all of the Illinois players and Brett Bielema dressed as a pumpkin himself. It is a clown car. It's a clown car. I don't know how to see anything but that when I look at Illinois. Blue and orange, man. Can you imagine if your mom came home from and was like, hey, when you were a kid and was like, hey, I've got this stuff for you to wear to school. It's blue and orange. Man,
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah.
It's really rough. And I don't think it's Illinois' fault. I don't mean to hate on you. You just had a great season, but it is a hard watch. I think it is a hard watch with the bright blue and the bright orange. And then you got your coach dressed as like a pumpkin, which I appreciate.
I actually love that. Yeah.
I do. I love it. I love that he dresses as a pumpkin. He just does the whole thing.
Yep.
But again, Illinois, you just had a really good season. So I'm not hating on your football program. I'm just hating on your outrageous color scheme. So yeah. I had Illinois at 17 out of 18.
Okay.
In the Big Ten.
So I think I'm on 16.
I'm on 15.
Really?
Yeah, I have to do my 15 still.
Okay. Oh yeah, then go ahead. I've got 2 left.
Yeah. I've only got a couple left after this. Wisconsin. According to Arthur Hove, a historian of UW-Madison, the cardinal color, sometimes called Wisconsin red, and the white accent color were generally accepted as the school colors in the 1880s. The addition of black, which started appearing sometime within the past 10 years, has been used in an effort to add contrast to the cardinal and white. But it seems that black is and shall remain an accent color. This might sound like a rivalry thing, but it's not. Because Barry Alvarez, when he was building the Wisconsin program in the 90s, literally admitted out loud that he copied Nebraska's uniforms because he wanted to build a program at Wisconsin that like the one Nebraska had at the time, a power running, physical, tough football program. So he's a great coach, and Alvarez did that, but man, he is not a man of nuance. He said, let's take this other winning program and we'll look like them and then we'll win too, is pretty much what it comes down to. It's never been the most exciting aesthetic choice. And I mean, Wisconsin wears the red and white like Nebraska. The uniforms look like Nebraska. For years, the W even looked like the N on the helmet. Very similar until Wisconsin went to the motion W, which I don't love, but at least the motion W is different from what Nebraska does. But other than that, man, it is blah, blah, Nebraska light. I did enjoy against Oregon how Wisconsin went all red with the white helmets. I think that's a better look. Than they should do that more often. But yeah, man, I mean, Wisconsin is just Nebraska light. That's all they are. The way that Iowa's a knockoff of the Steelers, Wisconsin's a knockoff of Nebraska.
I have Wisconsin at 17. And yeah. I'm with you. I agree. I would, again, something that would improve my opinion of them is because in like, I think the 60s or 70s, maybe it was the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they had Bucky Badger like behind the W, a block W.
Oh, okay.
And
that's
I thought
fun.
That was cool. Like I really like that, and I've advocated on Twitter like a few times of being like, bring this back. Like,
yeah,
I think this would be awesome. Incorporate Bucky, like, you know, and Or like, just put like a popcorn box like on one side and a skunk on the other. Like that would work, right? Like, is that no? I'm sorry. This is not just a Gopher football podcast.
It is not.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, no, I think that would be a cool little mix up. And I don't know, I've talked to a couple, not, and I'm sure it's the minority, but I've talked to a couple Wisconsin fans too that are like, they're kind of over the motion W.
Yeah.
I think it was okay for a while, but I don't know, like switch it up, maybe throw in that block W. I know that it's pretty
Then
boring.
you're really looking like Nebraska again.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I just think
you already look so much like Nebraska, then you're looking even more like Nebraska. When Nebraska and Wisconsin play each other, it's hard to tell who the home team is.
That's true.
It literally is like watching two teams with the same uniforms play against each other.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
I'm not a fan.
So my 16 was Oregon. We talked about that already. My 17 was Illinois. So that leaves my 18, and I think your 18.
Yep.
The Purdue. Somebody's got to be last, and in this case, it's just like on the field. It's the Purdue Boilermakers. So Purdue's colors of old gold and black were adopted in 1887, the first year of Purdue football. A self-appointed committee of students and faculty chose the colors so that the team could be distinctive in their first game. I love how it was random students and teachers who just decided this color schemes that we'd use to identify these schools forever. Like, I love that. I love, like, what a legacy all the people who named this stuff to have, that this is still, following it all these, 100+ years later. The old gold and black, it just looks washed out and lifeless, which makes Purdue's players look washed out and lifeless. I think the least offensive iteration of this is when they go black helmets, black jerseys, and that ugly gold color of pants, but it's still bad. I mean, it's really hard to watch Purdue, man. It's really hard to watch them in those colors. And I don't know how anyone decides. I don't know how you're raised in the state of Indiana and you look at crimson and cream and you say, no, I'm going to go for black and gold. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand it. Those are some ugly colors.
I agree. And there's one later story from some research that I did that says that it has it that the black represents mourning for tragedies costing the lives of Boilermaker gritters on 2 occasions, which makes it even more.
So now it's morbid too. Great.
Yeah. So no, man, I'm with you. I think it's just the gold is totally washed out. You don't see it. It's it'd be, if it were black in some other color, sure, but the gold, I think, is just what kind of just you don't even notice it that much. I don't know. It's like you said, it's washed out entirely.
So washed out.
It's tough to watch as far as that goes. And it just sucks for Purdue that not only are they last in the Big Ten, but they're also last in school.
It's like whenever they play, it's a cloudy, rainy day. It looks like seriously. It's always cloudy in West Lafayette kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's sad. It's depressing to watch.
Yeah, they leaned into that whole early industrial every there should be smokestacks in the background, shadowing out, and everyone's just begging for food, and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's should be from a Dickensian novel or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Purdue, it's cool that you have a good basketball team and a big drum. Yeah. So you've got some good things going for you. Yep. As someone who roots for a school with a struggling basketball team, I'm sure that's fun. So it's not all bad for Purdue. It's just mostly been bad on the gridiron for a while. But maybe Barry Odom can do what Ryan Walters just could not. So So Purdue, we're not trying to hate on you. We're not trying to kick you when you're down. It's just your colors are kind of rough.
Yeah. I'm with you. Well, cool.
Right on.
Well, that was fun.
This is like the shortest podcast we've ever done at 90 minutes. I feel like we're usually pushing that 2-hour mark, and we're pushing up against it. And this time, it felt like we had all this time.
To
go through our stuff and just have fun with it. We are. I know we said it was going to be this week. It'll be next week when we'll announce when we're going to go live. So look out for that. We will be going live in the next few weeks, and we'll let you know when that's going to be. And also, we don't want to say any names yet, but we are lining up to when we preview all the Big Ten teams for 2025. We are lining up some awesome guest hosts.
Yep.
So get excited about that, or not guest hosts, but guests.
Yes.
So get excited about that. And if you have anyone you really want to see on the show, let us know, along with any other feedback. We're very curious. If there's someone who represents your fan base that you think you'd love to see, drop us a line, let us know who you're into. It's fun to get to know some of the people who cover, other fan bases or who cover other schools in the Big Ten, and get to know their work a little better.
Yeah, and we're still looking to connect with more people from different fan bases as well. We're looking for, Northwestern fans, Illinois fans,
Michigan State,
Rutgers, let's, please reach out.
UCLA. Yeah. If you're interested, we have if you want to be involved in the podcast, we also have a group chat, which is a lot of fun.
Yep.
So if you want to, interested in joining that, reach out to us. We try to get representatives from all the Big Ten schools. So we are short a few right now, and we'd love to remedy that and have all the schools in the Big Ten represented in our little podcast group.
Absolutely. We'd love that. So yeah, again, you want to find us and you want to reach out to us, you can find us here to watch this show on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podcast Addict. And reaching out to us at We Live for B1G Sat, or Mike here at Alibaba26, or me at Norwegian Gopher, or email us, we live for Saturday, b1g@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for rocking with us on this relatively short by our standards podcast. And if you're still with us in minute 92, you are a real one. So thanks for rocking with us, and we'll be back next week with another show.